This is Dr. Anshul Tayal, and today I'll be talking about how to know whether the root canals they are merging with each other in the same root or they are separate. So let us first have a look at the Wien's classification of root canal morphology. So he has basically divided the root canal system into four types. So in type 1, there is a single canal which starts at the pulp chamber and it remains undivided, and at the apex also it is a single canal. In type 2, what happens is that two canals they exit the pulp chamber, and then in the subsequent course they either join or merge, or basically they become confluent to exit as a single canal. Whereas in type 3, the two canals which are exiting from the pulp chamber, they do not merge with each other and exit as two different canals. And whereas in type 4, what happens is there is a single canal which exits from the pulp chamber, but during its course it gets divided and it exits the apex as two different canals. So now I'll be talking about the type 2 canal system. So for demonstration purposes, I've selected a mandibular molar. As you can see, it has a shorter root and a longer root. So I prepared the access cavity and I found four canals, and two of them are readily visible because PMP has been done in them, and these two correspond to the orifices of the shorter root. So now I have negotiated one of the canals, as you can see, till the apex with a 20 number K file. And if you look closely, you can see that there is a radiolucent line corresponding to the other canal on its right side. Then I negotiated the other canal with a 25 number H file. Herein, the other canal is very readily apparent on the left side, which corresponds to the earlier canal which I had negotiated. So now I'll be telling you about the three ways in which we can detect whether these canals are actually meeting or not. That is, whether a confluence exists between them. So the first is the visual and tactile way. Now what it means is that, as you can see on the left side, now both of these files they are going up to their stopper when inserted individually. However, on the right side, you can see that when I have inserted them simultaneously, one of these files it fails to go beyond a certain depth. Why? Because since the canals are meeting, what happens is that, so for the second file which is inserted, there is an obstruction at the end because now they have a common pathway. So you can see this visually that the file is not going as deep as it had originally, and also you can feel uh, that with your tactile sense. So the second way is now the radiographic method. So after placing the file simultaneously, now I have taken a radiograph. So this X-ray, as you can see, the files are superimposed on each other. This was taken via straight angulation. Now I have changed the horizontal direction and I have taken an angulated X-ray. Now you can see that there is some distance between the files, indicating that these are indeed separate canals. However, they seem to be meeting at the apical one third. Now, if I shift the tube even more, there now the canals they are readily apparent that they are distinct and they are meeting in the apical third. So this is what is the tube shift method or the Clark's rule, from which the slog rule also originates. So now we come on to the last method, the file and the GP method. So in this method, what I have done is that I have inserted the file and the GP simultaneously instead of two files. So firstly, I have inserted the GP and then the file. Then I have given some motions or rotations to the file. Then I have withdrawn the file and then I have taken the GP out of the canal. Now if we observe the GP at a higher magnification, what we'll see is that there is some notching or indentation in the GP. Why? Because it is the imprint of the file, indicating that the file and GP they met at some point, and also the level of indentation it corresponds to the meeting point. So this was all about the confluence. To learn more about how to prepare these confluences and other nuances of endodontics and learn endodontics from scratch, you can join my online series ABCDE Anybody Can Do Endo, starting from May 14th.